Yeah.
Well, I think
that's good.
just talking about it, I think, is a good thing, you know. And then if you can cite some good sources that have some good information,
that
more of a
that would look good, anyways. You know, you're giving out some sources and stuff for people to dig into.
and people that are more experts than I am.
Oh yeah, you know.
We're hot too.
Right.
We're up. We're going.
All right. Perfect.
So.
Oh man.
I was listening to a podcast about AI.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to quite a bit about that, and more specifically about companion AI.
Yeah.
And in this podcast, they're saying how men would probably drive that market because of sex, right? True.
Yeah.
And they said they didn't think women would have much interest in that. And I started thinking about that, and I'm like,
backwards.
Maybe not backwards, but at least parallel, because I've been with a woman a long time.
Right.
I've been around women my whole life. And I started thinking about it, I'm like, no, wait a minute. Like, okay, the sex part may not be the driving factor why they would want AI companionship.
Right.
But I'm not saying from a woman's point of view. Obviously, I'm not a woman. But if I just take the things I've heard complain to me about,
right?
Yeah. Like, and not that I've done maybe all of these things or any of these things, but when you hear, guys at work, and, whatever, right? Like, so a woman can order this robot, right? She can get any body type she wants, hair color, hairstyle, the beard would be butter soft, not razor chafing, And I thought, she'd never have to worry about dirty underwear on the bathroom floor. Right? Nobody's going to leave beard trimmings in the sink, right? Right? You get where I'm going with this? Well,
I think almost every woman I know has a Bob, a battery-operated boyfriend. Yeah. They're already, use assistants, so...
But I'm talking about even from
to go to the next level.
Yeah. I can't imagine. I'm sure dating's a shit show for a woman, too.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
From my understanding, it's pretty terrible.
I thought a woman, it seems like would be even, in my mind, would be even more driven to this, right? Like, she can order this guy any way she wants him.
Yeah.
Right?
Designer boyfriend.
Yeah. He'll cook any recipe she wants because it's just preloaded, right? She comes home from work, fucking dinner's made. Laundry's
chicken
done.
Alfredo, homemade,
She can upload her grandma's recipe into him, right? And I would assume that AI would become adaptive. And what I mean by that is, how our cars have adaptive driving, right? They learn your driving patterns, right? When you walk up to certain vehicles with your key fob, it adjusts the mirrors, the seats, the radio, everything to you, right? And then as you drive it, the car adapts to your driving habits, the shift points, all this stuff, right? You're telling me that this AI isn't going to have adaptive technology, that it's going to slowly learn what you like and adapt to that, right?
Yep.
Can you imagine she would get a back rub and it's just a back rub?
Yeah.
Right? When the baby gets up in the middle of the night, he gets up with the baby, right?
Yeah.
And just think, she can
Who
order.
Wouldn't want that?
She can order. I was thinking, I could just see, she's like, yeah, I'm ready to have a kid. And she goes online and she picks the man she wants. She gets a little cartridge and inserts it in him. And
yeah. I think, man, the human race would go extinct.
No, because I think it's swinging the other direction for men, right? You just fucking hop online, you order the body type you like, the hair type, the
men have already been doing that,
Right.
You order them out of Russia. They put them in plastic surgery and.
Right, but this.
I'm sure they would go for that,
Yeah. You'd order it exactly the way you want it. It would cook the recipes you like. And then when you wanted to have a baby, you'd order some eggs from a real woman online, just like they order semen, and she put the eggs in her, and then you,
Yeah.
So people do think.
So you wouldn't become extinct.
No, I don't think so.
Still be having children.
Yeah. Right? And that's the other thing. People would say, oh, if men get sex robots, that's the end of humanity. No, I don't think so. I think it just becomes something different to where.
Wow. Could you imagine that? Just everyone having an artificial mate.
Yeah. Because as you change now, right?
Yeah.
Your mate doesn't change with you, typically, right?
Right.
And as they change, you don't change. And we know we change as we age.
Oh, sure.
Our life experiences, brain development, blah, 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 right? But with an AI partner, again, that adaptive technology, right? It would change. It would change with you.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Be pretty popular.
I don't know. Just think a woman could order her robot. Because, like obvious security, right?
Right.
She could order it with the Conor McGregor fight package.
Yeah. 3rd-degree black belt. Put the chip in and
no, there wouldn't be. It'd be Bluetooth updated, man. You're antiquated thinking.
Like the Matrix.
Yeah, it'd just be Bluetooth updated.
I know Kung Fu.
Yeah.
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 I imagine someday it'll be like that.
Can you imagine that world like?
Be wild.
Just think
but wouldn't you lose something though in humanity? You think just as you'd lose some of your humanity that way.
Yeah, because then you start thinking that what helped us build everything we have today is these desires, right?
Yeah.
These desires to reproduce and find mates and
companionship. Because I think you do grow, you do change, and I think your mate changes with you. Because in a long-term relationship, I think you blend together and you kind of evolve together.
If that was the case, why would divorce rates be 50% then?
Well, I think they're that way now because, like Tim Pool said, no fault divorce.
Yeah, but
right?
there'd have to be a reason to drive you to, not just we can, so we will. There's got to be something that drives you.
You're being trained in your mind to trade off. You know what I mean? Like people used to keep cars for 15 years. Now a lot of people, they lease them so that every 2 years they get a new ride, right? And I think that, at least in my experience, I think some of it was, once you lose the new car smell, right? And there's work in a relationship, and after your honeymoon stage, and maybe your mate walks in the room and you don't get the right away. It's like, oh well, it's time to trade them off, and I want something new and shiny. I think the washers and dryers, we used to call repairman in to fix that, or the TV, and now it's just throw it away and buy a new one, like disposable.
No doubt.
I think
I get there's all different reasons for divorce, but I think a big part of it is people become different people than they were when they.
Well, sure.
Unless it's typically people that are older don't run into that issue, though.
Right.
Right.
But I think that. Overcoming, because you do evolve, as we call it, you become wise, in your later years or whatever. But I have to believe in my heart that part of the magic of that is overcoming those things and sticking through it is what makes your relationship strong. Battle tested. It's like foxhole buddies, two guys that's in the war, and they're in a foxhole together, man. That there's an unbreakable bond now with them people, them two people that were in the foxhole together. So a marriage to me is kind of the same way, that the trials and tribulations you go through, and I think you lose that if in the AI. I see the convenience of it and the ease. Like, okay, now you have this mate that is going to be exactly what you want, whenever you want, for as long as you want. But I think you lose so much then, because it's those trials and tribulations is kind of what makes you grow together.
But if you never had it, you wouldn't know the difference.
Well, no,
right?
Right.
If that's how you grew up and that was
if that's
what
all you
it made
knew,
was, right? So now it's something different. We know it because we have what we have now.
I mean, look at what internet porn has done for relationships, and like I've seen some studies about how adolescents would get into porn, and the first time they see a set of boobies like that's enough to push them over the edge for like kid friendly, not in this video, but like for masturbation. And then over time, they had to keep increasing the kinds of porn that they would watch because it would lose its effectiveness, and that was real damaging to relationships. Men were losing interest in their mate.
See, I'm so scared of that. I don't watch porn.
Yeah,
honest, 100%. Like, I do not watch porn. I am so scared of losing my sex drive or not being turned on by a real woman that it scares the shit out of me. And
I used to be like a porn king. I won't lie. I was just like every other guy. But
the accessibility, like I've never watched porn on my cell phone. Like it scares the shit out of me when I hear these stories of guys that. Especially like in high school,
anymore.
So, and they're having to take Viagra in their early 20s. I'm like, fuck that.
So I think all of those things, when you look at how society's kind of been brainwashed, and like you used to love your mate, and you would take those vows, and for better or worse, and now it's like you're competing with the neighbors. Like, they got a new car, you got to get a new car. Like, I got to get a new wife or a new husband. The neighbor guy, a little healthier looking than mine. I want to be on Facebook with that perfect mate.
And I'm sure to some level that exists. But our guest that we had on a couple weeks ago, that's not why he got divorced.
No.
Like, well, I'll have to do some more research on this, but I still have to believe that they become different people than they were when they got together. Either their life goals
if they
changed,
I think it's because they quit working at it.
Yeah.
And they accepted it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't think anyone gets divorced for one reason.
No. That's what I said. There's
I've been through
two
of them, and they're very complex, and it's even later on that I'm still discovering new reasons why, not new reasons, but understanding what happened, then, because you walk away and you're like, how did this fail? It was
so. I guess I gotta be that guy and put you on the spot. Was it to upgrade?
No. So no, I don't think so. No, you know what? 5 years from now, you may ask that, and maybe I'll have a different answer and say, well, in some ways, maybe I was trying to, maybe it was the excitement of the new car smell, the new shiny, ride, but I think it was a lot of reasons why they happened, and I think when you start, it's like an onion, man, peeling the layers back, and the further you dig, almost the more questions you end up asking yourself too.
Right.
I think that the idea of trading up was definitely a bonus in your mind, right? When you're going through that. I think on the first divorce, I would say, there was definitely some of that, trading up. Just to have, that excited feeling again, where kind of like when it's when you're dating and it's kind of new, and it's you don't know that person as well. You're not complacent like you were with your mate. It's, you've been together for a long time, and you quit working at it, and you just accept it. And she kind of grew her way, I kind of grew mine. Did we grow apart? I would say, yeah, that's probably fair. But I think it's because we quit working at it, we lost the magic. Magic's in the work.
That's funny that you say that about the excitement or the pitter, because like all that scares the shit out of me. Like having to think, like to start over and think, like, what does this person like to eat? What does this person like to watch?
It's a
Like,
lot of work.
holy shit, like.
Yeah, you've already done all that work.
Right, like.
To start over is
yeah,
scary.
like, holy shit, to even think
to me,
about.
I kind of embraced it like it's an adventure, right?
Yeah, I
you
don't
know,
know. I mean, for me, it gives
know.
me anxiety to
Yeah.
think, like, holy shit, to have to meet
So
someone, like, to get, so, all the strikeouts of the dating and all the bullshit that comes along with that, right? Like, having fucking the dinners and the meetups and making all the time for all that shit, right?
Sure.
And then, okay, so then you start seeing this person consistently, and then it doesn't pan out. Now you got fucking right back to beginning, right? Or try to make some connections with a couple of the possibles that you did go out to dinner with, and like
you've seen what I went through.
So then 2 years later, you're finally found someone. You guys are moved in together. It's progressing, you know, and then like now you're relearning all this shit, right? Like, how do you like your laundry folded? You know what? You know all this shit that you know you got to learn. Like it's like going to school all over again.
It takes a lifetime to learn that stuff.
Holy shit!
I think for me, I
kind of
had fun with it. Like
let's start where you are right now. Then let's back up a little bit.
All right.
Let's start where you are right now. How long has it taken you since your last breakup to where, if you feel like talking about it, what is going on this weekend? So how long are we talking here?
7 months.
7 months before you've even had
something real
that you're like
moving in that.
Okay, this is looking possible, or you know, we're progressing to the.
In my, I think this go around I tried to do it different, you know, and I made a lot of friends, and I kind of just kept it that way in my head, like, because like you said, it's intimidating, and I didn't want to date like that, you know. I've done that, and I thought, well, if I just make friends, and you know, sooner or later, they're gonna surface above that, right? Let my heart kind of just follow my heart through this process. So, I have somebody now. She's awesome. She's beautiful. It's exciting. But, you know, we sat at a bench and talked for hours just about all the stuff that you were saying, learning, right? I had fun, you know. I want to know, what's your favorite candy bar?
Yeah.
You know,
but like you said, it takes so much time to. I mean, you know, like, because obviously you can't cover everything.
No,
even
takes,
a year, right? Like
it takes years and years and years.
Again, adaptive learning, right? That's almost what it's like, right? Like that technology that a robot would be able to pick up on so much faster than we can, right?
Right.
Because
it would pick up on it before you even knew, right?
Because think about like a Valentine's
Day,
it would know what
you want,
right? If you get her something, she's like you didn't pick up on me, like dropping the hints. I wanted this for my birthday or whatever. And like, oh shit, I missed that. You know, right? That robot would be. I know I'm bouncing around here. We'll get right back to that, but yeah, again, the convenience, right? The attraction that would be there to like.
Man, you could probably destroy marriage forever that way.
Because you said, well, we know it from social media, right? Like on your phone. Yeah. It hasn't quite gotten good enough. This is where advertising lacks. It hasn't quite got good enough to send me ads about things I'm thinking about yet.
Right.
Now, if I search something someplace, then I'll get an ad. Sometimes we talk about something and I get an ad.
Oh yeah, the little spy bot phone.
Right. But it still hasn't got. And what?
Because I love the drug dealers that got arrested because they butt dialed 911.
Right.
Yeah, right.
It's really bad at. I've already made the purchase and I get ads for it. I purchased something at a sporting goods stores and then I'll get a Cabela's ad.
Yep.
It's like for the same item.
Yeah, I just.
And it's like, well,
my boots.
A little late, right?
Right.
Like I need that. So we're slow as humans to. We're slower than AI would be,
right? To
adapting to our partner.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it would know what you want before you even knew it.
It would take time still, but it would be a lot quicker than what we are. Yeah. So, anyways, go back to you're on the bench talking about folding laundry.
I think, for me, that's fun.
Yeah.
It's not. It was exciting to, have someone interested, and even with all the friendships I've made, is it's been wonderful. Like it carried me through that breakup, because that was a bad one, no doubt, man. It destroyed me initially, but to have people to talk to that really cared about, they wanted to know what your favorite candy bar is, right? And that felt good. And to develop those friendships, I cherish them. I've met some wonderful people. I met a lot of bad ones, I won't lie, but I met some wonderful ones that I hope to maintain those friendships forever. And then obviously the current situation that I'm in now, I met someone that, for whatever the reason, we just, the rhythm, we matched each other's rhythm, and it evolved, and I really enjoyed, like, I want to know, what's your favorite color? I mean, do you get your nails done, or do you do them yourself? Do you take baths, or do you shower? Do you like bubble baths? Do you like a glass of wine while you're in there? Like, those are just millions of questions in your head, and it could feel like work and be overwhelming and just give you an anxiety attack. Hell yeah. But if you look at it as, this is an adventure. See, for me, I guess this is a new chapter in my life, and I understand what you're saying, because at one point I had that, and I touched on it when Adam was here. I had a blank sheet of paper now, and everything else, I had this big thick book of just my whole life written in there, and then I got this blank page, and it scared the hell out of me at first. What's this mean? I'm blank. That page is blank. I'm blank, and I think at some point in my head it just kind of clicked. Like, you know what? I can write in there whatever I want. So I'm going to look at it as an adventure. This is an exciting time in my life now. And a new relationship's kind of the same way. It's kind of how I view it. So I'm just, we have a blast. She's beautiful. She's smart. She's just a wonderful person. And I'm real excited to watch this evolve. She's excited. She says the same thing. Hi, honey, you're watching. I know you better be.
Right?
Yeah,
leave a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment.
Please
subscribe, share, ring the bell. I forgot all that stuff in the beginning.
Yeah,
we were talking when we started recording.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell everybody. Subscribe.
That and share. Obviously, you're probably wondering what this is about. I was fighting a grizzly bear.
Yeah. It's a tough neck of the woods to make it out here in, huh?
Yeah. Look at what I had to go through just to get to the studio.
Right.
So,
yeah, I don't know. I was just pondering the whole.
I think that AI thing
even if it's not for everybody,
because it would be lazy.
I still think there's a percentage of people. There's still enough baked in our DNA. Maybe people would get bored of it. Maybe there wouldn't be enough struggle. Easy. There wouldn't be enough. Like, can't you fucking argue with me for 2 minutes?
Right.
Be like, sorry, Cindy, I love you.
Yeah,
smack the shit out of him.
I mean, you would just take a bat to that thing and just like. Yeah, because it's
like fucking argue with me for 1 minute.
It took me,
but it have adaptive
destroyed relationships to understand that the word is the magic.
There'd be adaptive programming in there where
it would
argue, but you know what? A woman,
but it'd let you win.
No, a woman would make sure it apologized at the fucking end.
I'm sorry, did I displease you? What was it?
No, he'd just admit. Sorry, dear. This is my fault. I apologize. Let me go get you some roses and a bottle.
Right. But I think you're right. I think at some point it would become boring.
Maybe, but maybe it becomes so indistinguishable from humans that it would trick us, right?
Yeah.
We're manipulated easily enough with our own eyes, right?
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, at that point, then you start going down the rabbit hole that I'm in with, Skynet becomes self-aware and why do we even need humans anymore? I mean, we can, robots can build robots. Which, Side note, I found out in a podcast I heard there actually is a real Skynet now in China, and they're doing some really creepy shit, I guess. So, and it's actually, and they're modeling it from the Terminator movies, and it's actually really called Skynet.
What drives us toward this technology as humans? There is no denying it, right?
Right.
Look at that bow sight on my bow.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so far from what we started with.
Sure.
And I had to have it. Like, I had to have it.
I think that...
It's like that with all things. Our watches, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I got one. We all got them.
I have a Phoenix that's 4 generations older than this one, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted this one.
Right.
Like, there's something that drives us. There's something that drives us toward this.
To keep pushing it out further and further. Maybe it's the whole thing that when humanity started was, if you're a spiritual or religious person, that, man is God. He wants to prove that he's God. Maybe. Let's take a little trip down that fucking rabbit hole for a minute. 'Cause I was thinking about this the other day. You told me the story of the cleft of the rock, right? Yeah.
Just give a brief overview of...
So there's a church that's... I was driving by a lot, and for some reason, the name of the church, it was a newer church that they had built, and for some reason, and there's churches all around. Like, I drive by them all the time, and they don't really stick out, but this one did, and the name of it was Cleft of the Rock Church. And I thought, man, that is a really weird name, and I thought, initially off the top of my head, like, what the hell does that mean? Like, a cleft palate? Like, a crack, I'm like, it just, I don't know, for some reason it stuck out. So then I started, like, there's some billboards for it, and no matter where I was at, if there was a billboard for that church, I zeroed in. It just caught my attention every time, and it was just weird. And I mean, this, like, for 2 years, this going on, and I never really understood why I even paid attention to it. And I read a lot, and at least now I do. I'm, recommitted, and I'm working really hard, to be better inside. But there was a story where Moses went up into the mountains to receive the 10 Commandments, and God appeared before him, but he couldn't look at God because it would kill him, blind him, kill him. So he wasn't allowed to see the face of God, so God put him in the cleft of a rock until he got past so that Moses could see him from the backside. And it clicked when I read that scripture that it was protection. That's God put Moses in the cleft of the rock to protect him. And then the name of that church popped in my head right away, and I thought, wow, so that's a great name. And for a long time I thought it was just this weird, goofy name, but it was about, being protected. So it was kinda...
So why would he die or be blinded if he looked at
I guess... well, I'm not a minister like my brother, so
let's... Okay, so
why couldn't God, Jesus appeared to people after he was crucified, and they didn't even know it was Jesus at first. So, I mean, couldn't God look like however he wants?
Well, that was my question, so if we're made in God's image, right? That means God looks like man.
That's how we understand it.
Right. So what if he told Moses that because he didn't want to be identified, because then Moses would be identified because God still walks amongst us?
No, I would think that's a good explanation, and I think there's a lot of scripture that would support that. In the book it tells you that you have entertained angels and did not know it, right? So we know, if you subscribe to the book, that stuff does happen. And there's been some experiences throughout my life.
Because if Moses could identify him, right, then he would, then it'd be passed through history. This is what God looks like, right?
God looks like, yeah, that would make sense.
And then you'd be able to kick him out in public.
That actually kind of makes more sense than where I was leaning with it. So yeah, I like
I was
that.
thinking about. I don't know why I was thinking about that the other day. 'Cause I remember you telling me that story, and I'm trying to figure out like why. Why couldn't he look? Why would he go blind? Why would he die? Like why could he see him from the back but not the front?
Yeah,
like
he could see him from the backside, but
I'm
not
like,
the
well,
front.
maybe.
So he put him in a cleft of the rock until he passed him.
Maybe.
And it was protection.
Maybe he
So,
didn't want to be identified.
He didn't want to be identified.
Because then he'd be able to go back and tell
And,
people.
there was a lot of debate about what that meant. That God created
You know,
us in His image. Did it mean that he was a humanoid, or did it mean like the inside? Of. But then again, we're flawed, and God's not. So yeah. I think your way of. I think that
someone's gonna be in the comments be all like,
yeah, these guys are idiots. Some Bible scholar or something.
Yeah.
Hey, we've told you guys 1,000 times we're not experts. We're just two knuckleheads bouncing ideas
thinking
off
about
each other.
random shit the week and just sit down and talk about it.
Right.
Hopefully someone does comment.
I hope so. Tell us what you think. Why
we on the right path, on the wrong path?
Why would God stick Moses in a cleft of a rock?
Right. Why couldn't he see him from the front?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I like that though. That's a good theory, man.
I have no idea.
I dig it, dude. I do. That's really
I don't know
good.
why random shit comes to me like that when I'm just driving home from work.
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
Well, I would say,
holy shit.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's not.
Yeah, let's not go down that one. Yeah, true.
I don't know.
That's a deep one.
Oh,
but
man.
I don't believe in random or accidents, so
they say there is absolutely nothing random in the universe.
Right. And God says that He knew you before you were born. He knew you before you were conceived. He knows every hair on your head.
Oof.
So, man.
Then you're afraid of meta data collecting.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, that's the ultimate, right? That's great. I love it. Yeah, that is definitely some meta. He says he knows every hair on your head,
Google.
Yeah, we're worried about Siri.
God's like, hold my beer, son.
Yeah, watch this, You thought you were going this way, guess what?
Yep.
Nope. Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, every year of my life, I can look back and go, a year ago, I didn't see myself here. This is not where I thought I was going. So, yeah. Who knows? Maybe it is a little hold my beer and watch this. We gotta grow and evolve. So you gotta learn your lessons, right?
It makes you wonder why we have to go through these pauses, though, and how much faster we could advance if we didn't have these hiccups in history that set us back, or maybe not set us back, but slow us down from the progression of technology and humanity.
Maybe it's meant to slow us down, though, on purpose. You ever think that? Just because. If you ever go down the road so fast, like, when you miss everything around you, right? So, like, on the bikes, you can slow down, tooling down the road, take it all in, or we could be out there hot rodding and just racing down the road, but we'd miss the journey. It's about the journey, I think, to enrich you, Kind of the way I look at it. So maybe it's meant to slow us down because we're getting there too fast and we're not catching the things we should. We're not seeing the beauty. It's like I was in a tree stand a couple days ago, and I was taking random pictures of stuff, and I looked up and the sky was just this blue, but it was just rich. That day it was like I caught it just at the perfect time where the sun was starting to go down a little bit, but it made the color so vibrant, and I just took a second. I just watched it, and through the treetops, it was just beautiful. It was just a really beautiful image, and I thought, man, how many times did I sit in the stand and I didn't catch that?
I feel guilty. I did it last night when I was out there. Like, man, when are the deer going to show up? Man, I just stayed in the house. I could have got this done and that. And then I start real like, hey, stupid.
What are you there
Fucking
for?
slow down for a minute, all right? Enjoy the sky.
Yeah.
Look at your
watching that fog roll in was beautiful.
You're so blessed to be here in this moment to be able to do this. Majority of people around the world cannot do what you're doing right now. Right? Have relative peace in their life, right?
Yeah.
Come home from a decent paying job.
Yeah. That you enjoy doing, a job
be able to afford the equipment to pursue this adventure.
Top of the line shit right there.
And sit up here and bitch because I shot a deer last weekend and one hasn't walked by this weekend. Like, how ungrateful.
The first hour you haven't got another deer.
Right.
There was,
I'm like,
when I learned that,
and maybe it's that slowing down thing, right? Like, hey,
that's exactly what I mean. Slow it down. There was a few years ago, I was hunting, and it was the leaves had turned, so we were just getting out of the real, beautiful colors, and the wind picked up just a little bit, so it wasn't like really windy, but maybe a 10-mile-an-hour breeze. And I caught it like the perfect moment. The leaves started to fall, but they were falling so hard and so fast all the way around me. It was like snow. It was amazing. Like, I've never noticed that. Like, they all came down at once for like an hour. It was just raining these leaves. Like, being in a snowstorm, it was crazy. And I remember just sitting there taking that in, and I told you before the podcast started that, I've seen a lot of deer and I've had fun. I mean, this year, like, I didn't connect yet. I will, but like every hunt I've had lately, I've just thanked God for it, for giving me the opportunity to sit out there and just take all that in. And like last night, we were talking about the fog, and I watched the fog come off the field and kind of creep through the woods. It was beautiful. It was just soothing, and I remembered, like, this is what I'm there for. Yeah, I want to fill the freezer too, but I'm here to heal, to
reflect, have that introspective look inward and figure shit out, work shit out.
Recharge yourself.
Because it's just quiet, right?
Yeah.
I didn't get them. I took a couple pictures and I didn't get my phone rest at night.
Right. Yeah. It's, it's something about having that time out there to connect with nature, and that's why I said, like, even with the green energy and the Green New Deal and all that shit, like, I love nature. You love nature, I'll be an advocate for being a good steward.
And that's the messed up part. They assume that if you align politically in one direction, you're out pouring fucking motor oil in the woods.
You hate the earth. You're just trying to kill it all. Now, if we kill the earth, we'd kill us anyway. So, I mean, it's in our best interest as a species to take care of it.
Right.
But I think we love it in ways that they don't. I don't even think they really understand the connection that we have with nature. I remember the property I owned. It was beautiful. It was very diverse. It changed a lot. And I remember
the apple trees I plant provide more than I will ever take in the life of a couple of deer in a season.
Absolutely.
I enrich. Holy shit.
Man.
I
measure.
provide nutrients for those animals they wouldn't otherwise have because there are no apple trees around here.
Right.
I took that time to plant those apple trees, and those deer will benefit long after I'm gone.
Long after you're gone.
For the couple I take a year.
Yeah. Good
this
trait.
shit they don't understand.
Right.
What, they plant a couple pine trees and all of a sudden they're fucking good stewards?
Sure.
And I'm not?
And then they don't want, you shooting a deer, they just rather hit them with cars and it's a way of thinking that I just don't understand how they view it that way, and I know they don't understand how we view it.
And I'm not saying it's not coming from a good place. They're not.
From either side.
They're not.
Right.
I think it's coming from a good place in their heart. They just don't understand, because all they see is you're killing Bambi from a Disney movie, and that's not what it is.
Right. And we know that Walt Disney did that on purpose. The oversized eyes, the mom dying. It was.
You need to step back and take an objective look at what hunting, ethical hunting, is.
What it is.
And I think if these people could either go out with or really digest some good, clean content of people that, I plant that food plot again. Yeah. It takes a lot of time and a lot of resources to plant a whole food plot.
Yeah.
And I watch on the trail camera out there, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 deer out there eating, and I'm only going to harvest a couple of those.
Right.
They all benefited from the work for the couple I took. It made the whole herd healthier.
And this is why I hated the anti-baiting, like, because if you threw a beat out on the ground out there, it's not just deer that eat that.
Mm-hmm.
It's rabbits. It's possums. It's, you know, some corn on the ground. It's raccoons. It's squirrels, birds.
Yeah.
You know, I've watched the birds. It was neat. I think they're a chickadee is the species of bird, and it would grab a piece of corn and it would fly off, and I watched it tuck it in a crack in the bark of a tree, and I thought, what is this bird like squirreling corn away for later, like a squirrel does?
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched it for a while, and I realized, no, it sticks it in the crack, and then it pecks at it, so it's a way of holding the corn, so it's not on the ground where a predator could get it. Now it's up in a tree where it's safe, and it pressed it into that crack, and then it sat there and pecked at it to break it open to eat it. And I thought, wow, okay, that's pretty smart for a stupid little bird, right? And we call them bird brains. And I thought, wow, that's, you know, again, something that, because I love nature and I'm kind of taking it all in, I try to make sure I take a moment to appreciate that kind of stuff. You know, how many people that bird flew right by and they just never even paid attention to it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's all kinds of neat. I'm always learning new stuff out there that, oh, wow, I've never seen this before. Or, yeah, I think it's just good for your soul to be out there.
You know, people shit on trophy hunters. Well, they're just out there for the horns.
Right.
And I call bullshit on that because I know a lot of people that shoot very old animals.
Right.
And for one, it's not cheap. And yeah, maybe they have the resources to acquire that.
Sure.
But they're utilizing the animal.
Right.
And, you know, there's well-known people that say, well, I never get my animals mounted because, you know, it's just not a good look, so I just get the skull done.
Right.
Well, I think it's a waste of the hide in the skin to just leave that shit out there to rot into the ground.
And you're just getting the skull. You know?
Right.
To me,
I
it's
think
a way
it's
of
actually
respecting the animal to, you know, to put the investment in it.
Yeah.
And, you know, to me, I don't look at my mounts and go, I smoked that. I remember the whole hunt.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what it is for me. That's a time capsule when I look into it, at it.
Of a beautiful moment in my life and a blessing that, you know, God, I was fortunate enough that God let me live that day to make it into the woods that day and put that deer in front of me that day.
And when one of your friends come over, you know, they're like, "Oh, tell me about that." You can recall that whole situation. You can remember the time. Well, maybe not the exact time you got up in the morning, but you can remember the clothes you wore. You can remember the weapon you used. You can remember all the details.
Yeah, it just
up to the processor
right in there.
You know how delicious were those burgers we had last weekend?
Oh, exactly. You know.
Did we have burgers? What did we have?
No.
What did we have?
Last weekend we had brats.
Did
but
we?
I mean, we've had burgers 1,000
My bad.
times. So.
Anyways, well, we ate burgers, and they were frickin' delicious.
Yeah.
We've been buying a little bit cheaper beef because of the price of beef and even the availability. It's been still kind of spotty, right?
Right.
And I know it's like, you know, a little bloated, a little achy.
Oh.
You know, like this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
So, got that deer.
Yeah.
Been eating that venison.
No problem.
Gone.
Ain't that
You fucking explain that to me.
Ain't that
explain that to me. I noticed it within 2 days of not eating the beef.
Yep.
And eating the venison. And I told the wife, I'm like,
natural and processed, weird. You know what I mean? Like you're getting ground something. Yeah. And they can call it 80-20, whatever. But you know, I mean, there's. God only knows what they grind up.
I don't know why I haven't noticed it before. I don't know if they're doing something different, but there is a significant difference in just a week of eating venison and getting away from that store-bought beef. All of a sudden,
especially now, man, they got to be trying to maximize every bit of throw as much in that grinder as they can to stretch that out to try to keep their profits because you know.
1 week?
Yeah.
1 week of switching, all of a sudden I noticed a
And
difference.
it's
Because I have not,
just,
that's all I've had.
wow.
And I've had it almost every
That's
night, every other
amazing.
night. Completely cut the
That's
beef out.
crazy.
Now that
tells
bloating,
you
achy
something,
gut
though,
shit
don't
went
it?
away.
You know, and you know what? I'll back that 100% because I lived on that farm on 44 acres, off grid, a really hard life, and we grew a lot of our food. We hunted most of our meat. We kept it, tried to be as self-sustaining as we could. And every time I went, and I was a little overweight, but every time I went to the doctor, like everything, my cholesterol, my blood pressure, my pulse, everything was just wonderful. And I remember having an argument with the doctor about eggs that, you can't eat eggs all the time without having the cholesterol issue. And I'm like, bullshit. I have my own chickens, and I know that a farm egg has a third less cholesterol in it. And then I free range my chickens, so I know that that egg has 2/3 less cholesterol in it than a store bought egg that's not been hit with radiation to kill off bacteria on its shell. And you know that you can, it has a protective coating on it, right? So you don't even have to refrigerate those eggs.
What do they call it?
Right?
Bloom? Is it bloom?
Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
Yep. Yeah. So way healthier for you. And the minute I gave that lifestyle up, I started to get sick and I started to not feel good. And then, things in my body started to fall apart. And I believe it in my heart and soul that is the way we're supposed to live, and that it's a lot healthier way. So yeah, if you can harvest a deer and do your own burger, never buy burger from the store again. No way. Not if you don't have to, because it's way healthier for you,
And I know this isn't accessible to everybody.
No.
And not everybody's gonna want to do it. But at the same time, just don't shit on the people that do it, because there might be some health benefits that you're not realizing that can help other people from eating.
Because these are the same people that'll buy Nutri-Grain granola bars because they've seen it on TV. Some guy standing on the edge of a mountain, look at you're going to have the energy to climb a mountain.
Look at the shit in the ingredients. Just the amount of sugar in most
terrible
healthy granola bars.
So, if you're going to embrace that, like you said, don't shit on us about our way of doing it, because, there's something to it. I like being a provider. I love that feeling of, providing for my family. It's just at a core of what makes a man a man,
I wish elk were more accessible in our area, just because the amount of meat you can get off an elk.
I know.
Yep. God.
Just I would love to just be out there and hear the bugle. Just hear them calling, like, wow.
Yeah, no doubt the whole thing, just like anything else we've talked about.
But filling 2 freezers with one,
and not have to worry about meat for a year and a half off one animal. I can't even.
Amazing.
Good Lord, because I have to shoot. Really, to sustain for a year, we're gonna have to put 5-6 deer in the freezer. And luckily, we have enough 2 licenses each, or buy some extra doe prints. We do have enough people in the house. We can do that, but
that's usually what we would do. We were 5-6 deer,
but one elk.
But man, that kept us all year. Like, we never bought beef. Once in a while, maybe a little pork. I'm not saying we never bought hot dogs, but really, like, all of our meat was venison or fish, because I caught a lot of fresh fish.
If that's really what it was, and I almost thought about eating that beef just for a week, just to
try it,
and to go then. Because I never even put it together like that. Because we eat a lot of, we eat a lot of meat,
right?
And I'm still eating the same amount of chicken. I'm still eating the same 5 pounds of chicken a week.
Because I'm a carnivore,
and so that didn't change.
Right.
The only thing that changed was that cut that burger out. All I've been eating is venison.
You should go back and try it the other way and see.
I'm scared to, because it was bothering me. Like, man, like, constantly have this bloated, achy, like,
gassy,
abdomen.
shitty feeling.
Then all of a sudden,
it's probably what a woman feels like when she's on her period. No offense.
So I hope that's.
Well, you know, last night I had that Spike walk in there, and you know, I was getting ready to draw down on him, and I thought, you know, it's meat. You know, here's I'm gonna fill the freezer up. You know, it's.
Now
I appreciate a big buck like anyone else, you know.
Well, I just try to shoot the biggest deer I can because my processor charges $120 whether it weighs 50 pounds or 150 pounds or 200. It doesn't matter. It's the same 120. And I want to put as much meat in so I do try to shoot the biggest deer I can. And even the one I shot was, if you watch the video, was bigger than the ones around it, and that's why I picked it out and shot that one.
And that's funny because that's the thought I had with that Spike. I was looking at him, and it never was about his horns. Were they tall enough or wide enough? I looked strictly at his body, and I said, "Yeah, he's bigger. Okay, come on in, and you know, I'll do this one." So he got lucky. He got away. Tree branch, you know, really. I mean, tell me that wasn't an act of God. I have a limb that was broken and hanging in the top of this tree for 3 years. And it just happened to fall right while he was there for no reason. It just broke loose, fell, crashed to the ground, and that scared the hell out of that deer. He was gone. Man, like a bolt of lightning, he was out of there.
Firearm season coming up.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm real excited. Should be an interesting year this year.
That's Tuesday?
Yeah.
My boss let me work Monday so I could have Wednesday off. So I get the first 2 days, and I go back for 2 days, and then I'm off for 10.
Wow.
So
I'll tell you, man.
Thankfully he did that for me. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, luckily I have the schedule flexibility enough that I could go in. I could have had 4 consecutive days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but I'm like, well, if I can work Monday and have Wednesday, I would get the first 2 days. I've killed a lot of deer the second day, and I think it's because they get moved around.
Yeah, the second day
you get everybody out there.
You know, the second and third day are usually really good because the deer have been. Now you're getting new deer, right? That wasn't the deer that's been coming down that runway and starting to kind of pattern you, and they got an idea you're there. Now, this is where you start getting the deer on the trail camera, these bucks, and you're like, where'd this buck come from? You know? Yeah, it's the second and third day are usually really. I like the first day just because I like to hear the shooting.
Yeah.
Because it usually sounds like a war going off.
I always count the shots.
Yeah, I try to, but I always
count the earliest shot. I always record, and then how many I've heard. And it's always consistent as far as the number, whether it's a week. You know, and when I say consistent, I'd say within 20 shots versus a weekend or not a weekend or bad weather or warm weather or cold. You know, it's never like 100 or 20. Right. It's always in that like 60.
Yeah.
You know, 40 to 75. Yeah. You know, it's always right around that same stats. You know,
it's just something magical about putting the orange on. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, driving down the road, you see the other camps and just the camaraderie and, you know, being able to stop and say, hey, you know, how was your morning? Did you guys see anything? And trading those stories back and forth, that enriches you. You know, it's that interaction with the human interaction back and forth that the whole thing is just magic.
The biggest one I ever got, though, was opening morning.
Yeah.
Under a corn feeder. Wow. Opening morning. Yeah. And we could bait back then.
Right.
And there's actually, I think there was a bigger one under there. Wow. And I don't think it was from here.
Yeah.
Because about the time I decided, like, man, I think it's got, you know, because, you know, every minute you get to see a little more detail, right?
I love that.
And I'm on the binoculars. Sometimes you stare too long and it goes black, and you got to move the binoculars, you know, and bring them back up. About this time, I thought I could see a predefined rack.
Yeah.
I was reaching for the gun, and that corn feeder went off.
Oh.
And he frickin'.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he was from here.
Right. Because he probably would have waited till the corn feeder went off and then come in. You know, it's like a dinner bell.
And I was like, and then, like, as he was running away, I was sure I saw that right beam.
Wow.
And I'm like, damn it, you know, like, because what happened is because time changes this weekend.
Yeah.
So I never adjusted the time on the deer feeder. So it's going off an hour earlier, whatever, right? So it's still dark when it went off.
Sure.
Like, usually I have it going off like half hour, 45 minutes after daylight
Right.
to try to get them to come in when it's light out.
Yeah.
And I never went out and readjusted the timer.
Huh.
So still, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
it's still going off the dark. And if I missed, but anyways, so about half hour later, a doe come in, and she
Right.
looped around, and right where you're standing, she smelled and she walked right off. I'm like, are you shitting me?
Huh.
And I was
I
like,
wonder if it's because it scared them, and they leave those pheromones.
either
in
that
her,
or just a big buck smell, and
or that. She didn't want nothing to do with it.
About a half hour later, this other deer come from the same way that doe was, hooked right in,
Really?
parked right under there and started eating. I'm like, are you shitting?
Wow.
Opening morning, a buck like that?
Opening morning.
Buck,
One
nice
you'll
buck
never
under a
forget.
corn feeder.
Yeah.
Like, what are the odds?
It's just meant to be.
Yeah, I'm like, perfect. That was a big deer. That body was really big on that deer.
Yeah, I like shooting them big bodied ones.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt, last night when little Spiky got away. I thought, it's meant to be. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
That he wasn't my buck.
Yeah. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm ready.
So
I'm ready to get out this weekend.
What's your favorite caliber to hunt with?
Mine?
Yeah. It's getting to be more complicated,
Yeah,
Before it was easier.
I don't think there's enough difference to even matter.
Yeah.
The gun industry does a good job on selling us on the next caliber that's going to kill your deer even better.
Right.
This bullet's going to kill your deer, the bullet expansion, blah, blah, blah. And which is fine. People like to tinker.
Sure.
But I've killed a lot of deer with all different bullets, and not any one of them died any quicker than the other. They all died.
Yeah.
They're dead.
Yeah.
Every one of them. I've never wounded a deer with a rifle.
Yep.
Everyone right behind the shoulder, shot, and they don't go far, and they tip over within sight, and they're dead. It didn't matter if I used a Core-Lokt or Federal Premium bullet or
pretty much
Nosler ballistic tips, or it did not matter.
Right.
Didn't matter if I shot them with 308 or 300 or 270. Right. It didn't matter. They all. So I really, for whatever reason, I really like the 300 short mag.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, but. And the 308 killed them all. They all tipped over the same distance that 300 short mag did.
Right. So at that point, it's just what you would rather shoot.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I'm drawn to that caliber. I just like the cartridge. I couldn't tell you why.
Right. I've been hung up on 7mm mag forever. Yeah. Like since I was 18, I think I've been shooting a 7mm. It's just my caliber.
Does a 7mm kill it any deader than a 300 Win Mag?
No.
It's pretty much the same freaking cartridge.
So
yeah,
it's just like you said, you're just drawn to
something.
That,
I couldn't tell you why. I own more 308s than I do 300 short mags, but for some reason, when it comes to deer hunting, it's like I just have some confidence in that rifle.
Yeah.
That whatever it touches, it's dead.
Right.
I just have so much confidence in that caliber. Not that everyone I killed with 308, again, died within eyesight.
DRT. Yeah. Right there. Right?
Yeah. But for some reason, man.
Yeah, like
opening
I said,
morning,
that 7 mag,
that 300 short mag's going to stand with me.
Yeah. And I've considered, we were talking before our show that a 243 I was really considering going to just because it's a fun rifle to shoot. It really is.
I say buy whatever you want. If you want to freaking...
I think, I'm going to, but I still...
Life's short,
I think,
you only live once.
Right.
If you want... and I'm not shitting on the gun industry. I own guns. I'm not shitting on that. I'm just saying that if you want another caliber, don't justify it by, this writer said... It's
going to be better.
This is the new card. In the macro, it really doesn't matter. When you're talking about whitetails, medium-sized game,
right?
Any rifle caliber out there is gonna freaking kill it dead.
The best
Any
blood trail
decent hunting bullet,
I seen.
you know, whether I don't care if they're Winchester soft points or Corlocks or Federal
Right.
Premium, you're not gonna notice a difference.
No.
It's gonna kill the freaking deer.
The best blood trail I had ever seen from a firearm, you know, the deer that was shot with a gun, was my ex-wife, and that was with a 20 gauge
Mm-hmm.
slug barrel slug, and it was terrible. The amount of blood was, I was flabbergasted. Like, yeah, it was. I thought, wow, and that deer didn't go anywhere. Like, it was a 25-yard dash, and it was done. But like, red carpet service right to it. I was like, wow.
Yep.
You know,
my son shot one like that, and the only reason it did, he shot with 308, is on the exit.
Yeah.
It hit a rib bone on the exit.
Ooh,
so it was like a Coke can hole on the other side. Yeah, and same thing. Like it was like fire hose.
Yeah.
You know,
just spray.
And again, 25 yards and dead. It didn't even know what happened. And that's the best kind of kill.
Right. Quick.
That's the best
humane,
kind of,
just done.
That buck I shot last weekend with the bow.
Yeah. Was dead right away.
He went 50 yards and he hit a
And that
log.
was nerves.
Yeah.
I'll guarantee that he was dead while he was.
I took him right through the lungs. Well, you saw the heart.
Yeah.
It cut 2 valves off the heart.
Right.
So the heart was hanging just by whatever.
Yeah.
The 2 valves were severed right through the lungs.
Yeah.
He hit a log, cartwheeled, somehow got his feet, hit a brush pile, and he was done.
It's like with the chicken when you take the head off and it bounces around. I mean, the chicken's dead. It's nerves, and the deer same way.
I'd be surprised if that was 3 seconds.
Right.
From the time the arrow hit him, hit that first stump, got his feet, hit the next brush pile 50 yards, 3-4 seconds maybe. Yeah. And he was probably dead before he even hit the first log.
Right.
It was just like you said,
his body dead instantly. His body was going. You know.
And that's what you want.
Yeah.
And people and hunters do need to be more responsible. People, you need to practice.
I think crossbows were terrible at first.
Before that night I shot that deer, when I walked through the backyard on my way out into the woods, I shot an arrow into the target.
Yeah.
I take a practice arrow with the exact not with the broadhead I'm going to shoot the deer. With a broadhead that I use specifically.
Yeah.
It's the exact type of broadhead, but I only use it for shooting into the target. And so I shot an arrow, so I knew. I did it last night before I went hunting. Right to the line.
It's a good way.
Shot it,
you know?
And I got the arrow when I came back up out of the target. And I got
not only does it confirm like your equipment's still good, but it also boosts that confidence, right? And that's important when you're taking a shot. That confidence is key. Like if you're questioning yourself, you're a lot more liable to make a bad shot.
And when I got up in the tree stand, drew my bow back a couple times, they're over here, okay, and then I, went over here,
what I did,
drew it back, okay, I'm good there, get those muscles loosened up a little bit. And when I shot that deer, there was no question in my mind.
Right.
Because I practice. I practice a lot, and I go through that shot sequence. I knew exactly what I had to do. I can't.
It's
my
so
whole shot
important with archery.
So when I settled that pin, it was just like I had shot at those targets 10,000 times, and shot broke clean. He was dead.
Yep.
It's no different than your rifle.
Right.
Make sure your rifle is. Don't just go out and it was close.
Yeah, it was close.
It hit next to the pop can that I sat in the woods.
That's good enough to kill a deer.
Right.
I've heard that 100 times.
Yeah, it's good enough when you don't have any pressure.
Right.
But
if it's off 3
run
inches,
up and down your driveway 10 times and sit down behind that rifle and try to make a steady shot.
And if it's off 3 inches anyways, and you're like, that's close enough. But then in that shot placement, you're 3 inches off.
Yeah.
Now you just gut shot an animal, and it's going to run off and die. And, if it's lucky, die first and not by coyotes that eat it alive.
That animal deserves the time that it takes you to put in to make a quick, ethical, humane kill.
I like that. Right?
And I feel like
your game deserves that.
I owe it to that animal to be as ethical and humane because I want it to die as fast as possible. I don't want it to even know what happened.
Nope.
I want it to hear a noise, take off running, and then it's running in the clouds.
No, I don't want it to suffer. I don't want to watch it lay over there and try to get up 3 or 4 times and then eventually die. Out of all the deer I've shot, I spine shot one deer once, and it was a terrible experience for me. Like, I hated it. I ended up having to shoot it a couple of times. I remember once a story like that. Here, you had one that, you know.
Oh, it was actually my son that shot,
your son that shot it and had to put a couple.
Yeah, same thing.
Bolts in it, just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually ducked. Yeah, and it hit it in the back, and had to shoot it.
Mine, I ran out of bolts. It was still alive. I had to go down there, pull a bolt out of it, and shoot it again. It was terrible.
But I've only had that happen with the crossbow.
Yeah. And
we were talking about that earlier, too.
And I think, you know, especially when crossbows really started to come out and become popular, people were losing deer left and right all the time. And I thought, I swear people lose more deer with the crossbow. But, you know, it's still archery, and it's still like the broadhead. I think because people were taking shots that typically they wouldn't have done with a compound bow, because it felt like a gun to them. Yep. So
distance.
Yeah, distance.
They're shooting too far.
We have a person we know that, you know, 50-yard shots, not even good shots, you know, shots where it's like, I think I can thread it in there, and 50 yards. Like, no, those are two bad options, you know. Like, you know, I had that 5-point a couple nights ago, and he was within the range. Like, I had him, but I knew it was starting to get a little bit later, and I knew there was some limbs over there, small ones, and I waited. You know, the last thing I want to do is force it and then have the arrow deflect and then shoot it in the ass or something, you know, in the hind quarters, or, you know, whatever. Like, no, I'd rather wait. He didn't know I was there. He'll come back through eventually, you know. I have passed way more deer than I've ever shot, you know.
Well, and that person you're talking about give me shit about, you know, like, you only shoot them if they're anchored in concrete, perfect static broadside.
Yep. Yeah.
That's why I haven't wounded a deer.
Right. And, you know, that person, like, how many deer did we track forever and ever and ever? It was just real common. And
I do wait till they're broadside. I wait till they're relaxed. I wait till I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
Last thing I'm going to do is be all amped up, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to run. It's going to run. I got to hurry up and take this shot, you know.
Get an arrow in it, you know. As long as it's bleeding, we'll find. No.
Yeah.
No, it's not worth it to me.
Nope. I agree. I'm the same way. Like, I want it. I want a perfect setup, you know, or as close to it as I can get.
I'm not going to take a shot. I won't.
Right. I
don't care if it's a rifle.
If I feel like I'm forcing it, rifle's the same way.
My daughter and I were out there, and I felt bad last year. Little buck running this doe around.
Yeah.
And it stopped in one spot where I could have made the shot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put that on her, though.
Right.
So I'm like, no, don't. Just
wait.
And we didn't get another shot at it. They took off. We never seen it again. But I'd rather have that happen than that be on her conscience.
Sure.
And force her into a situation where it was questionable whether or not she could have made that shot. And then psychologically she has to live with that. And then the animal could be... She may have pulled it off.
Then you got to regain your confidence all over again. And, man, because, like, wounding a deer like that, man, it shakes you, right?
Yeah. You start questioning your abilities, and, man, should I have... And she might have made the shot and it killed it, but it was...
But if there's...
For me, I could get it through there. You know, I think, there was definitely one spot. I could have pulled it off. But I've been doing it a long time. And I shoot rifles enough that I know my abilities. But for her, I'm not going to put that on her.
No.
You know. In the last podcast, I had a family member message me. What are we talking about? Switchboards and operators.
Huh.
I can't place. I didn't go back and listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
But we were talking about something. Anyways, they said one of my aunts.
Oh, because we were talking about technology and phones and, like, having a phone that was plugged into the wall and it. Okay. Yeah, I remember talking about switchboard, how amazing it is now that you could just pick up your phone and dial a number. Where, you know, it wasn't that long ago that you actually talked to.
Because she said this a family member of ours was doing that in the 50s.
Wow.
So we must have talked in the podcast. How long ago was it before
that, you didn't have to do that? Just how fast it technology.
So yeah, in the 50s, there were still people plugging the line in.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I know that was random
That's
to the
not
conversation.
very long
I
ago.
just got the thought about it.
Kind of a good follow-up.
I was trying to remember what we were talking about, how it, you know.
And again, I think that's what it was, just how fast, you know, it exploded, because like your kids have no idea what it's like to have to get up and walk across the living room to change the station on the TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I remember that was my job for my dad. You know, I was like, go change the channel. You know, and the idea now that, you know, everyone's got a cell phone and it's just instant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you could send me a text sitting right here and boom, you know, and somehow it goes to a satellite that fast is crazy. So it wasn't really that long ago they were using switchboard operators then. Wow. It really did explode then, didn't it?
Yeah. And again, what makes us, what, you know, we were talking earlier about what drives us to that. What drives us to that advancement? Something's
Why do you always want to push it further and further and further? Going to the moon, you know. Not that I believe we have yet, but
I mean, is my cell phone that I have now really much different than the one before that?
Probably not a lot. Maybe a little more memory, a little better camera, maybe.
Well, when I look back at the Instagram pictures from my old phone compared to the new phone, like, they don't really look. But something drives you to want that new phone, that new watch, that
new wife, that new husband.
Yeah, that AI thing just, I don't know why it's been stuck on me all week. Like,
that's kind of cool,
I've listened to a couple podcasts on it, and it's just like, there's no stopping it, right?
No.
I mean, we're definitely
slow
headed.
It down maybe, but yeah, it's gonna happen. The creepy thing is when it's so good, right?
Right, and that's what
would you be able to tell, like, in the grocery store, you talk to someone, and would you know? Eventually, it would become
right. Initially, yes, right.
Yeah.
Initially, we see the robots now. Yeah, they, you know, the way they blink and the way their muscles in their face.
It's just not quite.
I call them muscles, but the movements of their face when they're speaking or expressions, you can see it. You can identify it now, right? But we're easily manipulated with our own eyes.
I know that I watched a movie called Rogue One.
I showed
you. And at the end of it, they had Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia. Now, she was like 30 years younger, and it was all CGI. You could almost not tell. Now, 2 years before that, they were doing that with some actors, and it was obvious, right? They they looked weird. They didn't quite look right. You could tell that it was, you know, CGI. But now it's getting to the point where they're saying some actors will just sell their likeness, right? They're not even going to have to physically go and do that kind of stuff. So imagine 50 years from now what artificial intelligence will look like. Yeah, I absolutely believe in 50 years there could be a girl standing there sorting through heads of lettuce at the grocery store to figure out what one she wants, and you wouldn't be able to tell whether it was a real human or an artificial one.
Right, but you look at that, what do you see?
Yeah, beautiful woman. Right.
That's, and what I know you guys listening, not watching, you can't, even if you are watching, you can't see it because it's on the screen. That's Blair White.
Yeah.
He used to be a man.
Right.
That's what I'm saying with our eyes deceiving it, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's beautiful.
Yeah, she really is.
Right?
Yeah.
He used to be a man, though.
Huh.
That's what I'm saying, our eyes
are
easily deceived. Like, you wouldn't, if you were
in the store,
I'll date her.
Yeah.
You know, like, holy shit, she's beautiful, you know?
Yeah, she is beautiful.
So the fact that, you know, that's what I'm saying. So if, you know.
I said that before I even knew who it was. I just looked at the image and said, beautiful woman.
Right.
Especially in a couple of those outfits I really like.
Right.
Yeah. So imagine.
If you don't know who that is out there, you know, look it up. I mean, it, you know, blow your mind. And so
Blair White,
Yeah.
Google her real
Yeah.
quick.
So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
If we can do that with the human
Well,
body.
you just said that, in the 50s they were using a switchboard, and now we can send a text message instantly to each other.
I can look that up instantly.
Yeah.
It still blows my mind that just a couple keystrokes.
You had a thought, and all of a sudden you got the information right in
and I can show you in real time.
So imagine 50 years from now what it'll be like.
I don't even know if we gotta wait that long.
Probably not.
25?
Maybe. Yeah.
Half that?
Right.
Because you remember, it
goes fast.
What do they call it?
It starts to compound.
Yeah, compound. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 today is 4 tomorrow. It's 8 the third day. You know what I'm saying?
Exciting times to live, huh? I like our generation because we're old enough that we've seen the evolution of some of this, where some people.
A lot.
Yep.
Of the, like you said, you're talking about the TV channel. I remember our cable box had buttons on it.
Yeah.
You had to go up to the TV and push the button on the cable box that sat on top of the TV.
I remember black and white TV.
Yeah.
Our first one was black and white.
I don't.
Rabbit ears with aluminum foil.
Yeah.
There you go,
think our TV in the basement, in our family room in the basement, I believe, one of my siblings can fact check me on it. I don't remember black and white TV in our living room upstairs, but I think the one downstairs in our small living room was black and white, if I remember right.
We had black and white,
but we only had cable in the TV upstairs.
I remember when they upgraded to color TV, and it was console TV from this company called Curtis Mathis. They went and got it, and it was this big, beautiful console TV that had the
with
wood,
speakers mounted in the side of
there, and it's all wood.
Isn't that crazy?
It's beautiful.
We were watching Old Price is Right the other day, and how stuff was made to be like, I don't want to say a piece of art, but a piece of furniture to accent the room.
There was
right?
value in it, right? Like,
and now it's just like this thin screen that just
is almost invisible, right?
Yeah,
like they don't even want you to see the TV; they just want you to see the picture, right? So that you
and I'm not shitting on them. I think flat panels.
I love my TV.
I'm not shitting on. I'm just saying how the difference.
But it was
how it went from this piece of furniture that
because again, you would have a TV repairman come out to fix it, right? Now you throw it away and you go to the store and buy a new one. Hell, half the time you throw them away, they still work. It's just get rid of it because you want a new one. 1080p, and now it's
8K smart
4K,
TV and and I wonder. I'm still young enough. We still had Milkman.
Yeah.
When I don't remember how old I was, but we had a milk box on our porch, and I remember when we came home from school, my parents telling us, "Hey, make sure you check," because we got home from school before they got home from work, and I remember them saying, "Hey, check in there," because they didn't want it sitting in there any longer than it had to.
Now, can you imagine that milk could sit there at least for a time period, and think about milk now that you buy, and it spoils so fast. And
they were cartons.
Yeah.
Too. It wasn't plastic gallon. It fit 4 cartons in that milk box.
A person would take the milk, they buy it, and they take it right out of the plastic and pour it into a glass container and put that in the fridge, and it lasts like 3-4 times longer.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. I don't drink milk now, so I don't.
And then there was another thing. They said, don't throw your milk out when it's spoiled.
What?
And I was like, what? Like, ugh. No, you make sour cream out of it.
Really?
Or cottage cheese, and there was another one. I tried to remember it too because I wanted to tell you that, and I thought, well, damn, that's a good idea. How many gallons of spoiled milk have I dumped down the drain because it was spoiled and never even thought? Like, I could have made sour cream or cottage cheese, and well, damn, I wasted a lot of that. So yeah, next time it spoils, like,
I'd have to check with my wife, but I'm sure in all the time we've been together, we've never had spoiled milk.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
We would go on spurts because like we'd be on this milk kick, and then it's in every recipe. We're using milk, and then all of a sudden, you got a gallon. It's like for whatever reason that week and a half you didn't end up using it, and then you pull it out. It's like you go on cereal kicks. Someone in the house was eating a lot of cereal for a week, and then all of a sudden, they're not eating cereal for a week, and the milk goes bad. And that shit's expensive. You just don't want to buy it just to waste it. So yeah, I think next time. I've never been a big milk drinker, anyways, but yeah, I'm gonna try to do some sour cream. I think that'd be fun.
I didn't realize how unhealthy milk was until just a couple years ago.
Yeah, pasteurized.
I don't want to say unhealthy, but if people out there don't know, look at how many grams of sugar is in a cup of milk in your regular milk.
Yep.
I don't want to say milk is unhealthy, but there's 12 grams of sugar per cup, I believe.
Yeah.
In a gallon of milk.
Now, what is the benefit of milk?
I thought it was to build healthy bones, calcium.
Yeah. So would that outweigh the benefit? Outweigh the sugar, the damage that I mean, they're natural sugar, right? So it's a little bit better than.
I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
Or is it processed sugar they're putting in it?
Well, store-bought milk, sure. There's probably processed sugar. I think in any milk there is natural sugar in it.
Yeah. According to Google, 13 grams of sugar per cup.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll search.
I don't know why. I've just never been a big milk drinker. I drink water. And Monster energy drinks and coffee. I like water.
I drink almond milk now.
Yeah.
Either almond or cashew.
At least it ain't soy. Well, I'd have to disown you then if you're turning into a soy boy.
I don't know enough about. It says lactose is primary milk sugar.
Huh. It'd be something that'd be kind of fun to dig into.
Yeah, I'd have to do some more research.
Let's research that a little. Because I'm kind of curious if the benefits.
Even if it's even natural sugars, you still have to monitor the amount. You still have to figure that in. Whether it's berries, fruit, berry, and this, supposedly as of now, the sugars in berries is better than the sugars in apple, just because the amount. There's not as much sugar in berries as there is like in apples or oranges.
But I gotta think this is the fruit that was put here for us. So
but I'll send you a video of a doctor
that you're getting now is different.
Right, it's altered. Right? And that's what the doctor I was watching.
They genetically altered this shit.
Right, to triple the amount of sugar. So now they're selling you a sugary snack in the form of something.
And then not only just that, you can't even take the seeds and replant it and grow more apples.
Well, okay, but according to this doctor, the only time we ate fruits was at harvest time.
Right.
We didn't eat them all year round.
Right.
And he said it was to fatten up your liver a little bit to help you survive the winter.
Yep.
It wasn't
Oh no, because now
we have access to it
in the middle of winter. You can buy oranges, right? Or avocado. Before that, you couldn't do that. It was during harvest and a little while that you could store them, but eventually your diet would change.
Then it would fade out, and you wouldn't have them again until the next year.
That's why they would celebrate that, the harvest time.
So the fact that we have access to it and we are modifying them to triple the amount of sweetness in them, right?
To make you want more.
And now we're eating them all the time, so now it becomes
they can sell more.
Right.
And then you got to think of just the fertilizers and the pesticides and just that you genetically altered that fruit or vegetable enough that if you took the seeds out, you could plant that and the plant would grow and it probably would give you some fruit, not as much as the original, but by the second go around you wouldn't get any at all. So that's why people buy seeds that are not genetically altered. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head.
Who's that?
the seeds that are not genetically altered.
Heirloom.
Heirloom, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, I had a brain fart there. And man, those are valuable because and
well,
I've
there's
done
a reason they have a store of them in.
Yeah, I've planted.
Where's the seed bank at? Oh, jeez, oh Pete. South Pole.
Yeah.
Antarctica.
Yeah, Antarctica.
Jeez. Drawing a blank.
Yeah.
Right, there's a reason they stored all those heirloom
Right.
seeds there, right?
Yeah.
Just in case. We have something up.
Yep.
We can go back to
growing them.
El Natural,
yeah.
right? Shoot. I was gonna look up the
Was that
source
John
for
Travolta kissing somebody?
I have no idea.
He's kissing some other guy. Must be a movie.
I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah,
whatever. It's a thumbnail.
Right.
It's supposed to catch your attention.
I'm trying to find there it is. That's that doctor that talks about the fruit.
Oh.
His YouTube channel, in case anybody's interested, is what's his YouTube channel? The Carb Addiction Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carb Addiction Dr. Cyws, Cywes, and he's the one that broke down about the fruit, about the apples, and how it's not the same apples that we ate in the 1950s or whatever when he was a kid, and he talks about
it's just the shit they spray on it alone.
Well, yeah, there is controversy.
So
there is controversy over that
yep.
too. There's definitely a lot more.
I know that when I grew my fruit trees, I started to go more natural and get away from that fertilizers and pesticides because some of the first trees I planted, I went real heavy into the science of that, and then I started to think about, like, man, I don't know what's in this that we're spraying all over this tree, but I got to think that that's not natural. It's and anything that's not is probably not really good for you.
I know they do have natural stuff for like tent worms and that stuff that will take over your apple tree. They have some natural
stuff.
Spray on there.
Then I mean,
I know there's a lot of talk right now, like glyphosate and Roundup. There's a lot of talk in the news about that, and I'm split too on that. Because it seems like we'd have a lot more problems with farmers in this country that have been spraying this shit for 70 years.
We don't though.
Well, I watch farmers I follow a couple farmers on YouTube, a couple big farmers that farm thousands and thousands of acres, and they're 2-3 generations.
Yeah.
And none of them seem any sicker than. I mean, again, I know I'm watching around YouTube
it so
channel,
much,
but, I mean, they're spraying all those fields with glyphosate, and there's a person that has a deer channel that is big on whitetail habitat, and I use most of his practices in field planting my food plot, and he uses glyphosate, and he's older than I am, and he's been using it since the early 90s, and
I didn't quit using it, but I'm not going to use it just for a little weed that's in the crack, the driveway, but what I did use it on was poison ivy.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was just worth the benefit.
And I don't know, because I do use it on my food plot, and it's like, man, I'd like to know.
But I never used it in my food plots. No.
Yeah. Once I started using it out there, that's when it really took off.
Oh, yeah. It'll really help you.
Get rid of those weeds.
Get rid of all the weeds in there. Mine, I kept natural. It was like some of those weeds the deer eat anyways.
Yeah. But if I'm putting the time in.
Sure.
To make do this, I want to make sure that all the energy is going into what I'm trying to plant, so I don't end up with a bunch of stubble out there, right?
I battled a lot of that.
My brassica, was this big this year.
My brassica never.
Again, I think it's because it didn't have the competition. I actually can grow beans out there, winter beans and peas and shit. And they get tall.
I did grow some good winter peas.
And it's because I get that good spray, get rid of those weeds.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
If you want a lush food plot, you go through your Roundup, kill off just kill it and then
eliminate all that competition. Now what you plant. So yeah, but anyways, back to the point is I would like to know is I don't want to be fucked up from this.
Right.
Every year spraying this thing off.
Sure.
And I wear a mask.
Wake up one day and one of your testicles fall off.
Yeah. I do wear a mask out there when I'm spraying it, and I get it done and I get out of there.
Right.
I wear rubber gloves when I'm pouring it in my sprayer. So I get
at least you're
ATV sprayer. I wear rubber boots and I rinse them off when
you're growing plants in there. And the deer are going to eat the plants, and then you're going to eat the deer.
Well,
do you wonder about that?
This is glyphosate is neutralized when it hits the soil, so it doesn't stay in the soil. So it only attaches to the plant, kills that plant,
right?
And that's it.
It keeps it from using photosynthesis,
right?
Isn't it?
So it's neutralized. It has to be neutralized so it can't run off of the soil. Is my understanding the way it's explained to me. That's like built into it. And
I only wondered because there was an issue with dioxins.
Yeah.
Right? And deer, they were saying don't eat any of the deer that are running along the edge of the river.
So I said supposedly it's built into it that it only kills the vegetation. Once that vegetation's dead, it's gone. It doesn't exist.
Interesting.
Now whether or not what I'm growing, the new growth, supposedly shouldn't have any of that on there. Now, whether or not when they spray wheat with it and you consume the wheat, I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Even scientists only know what they know until they know something different. Right. So science is always evolving.
But yeah, I want to know.
I want to know what the hell is up with chemtrails, man. Like I've been on that kick forever.
Yeah, I don't know. I
was looking at them the day before yesterday, sitting in the tree stand and, looking up at the sky going, wow, man, sure wasn't, the sky did not look like that when I was young. Now they could say maybe there's just more planes than there used to be. Yeah. Maybe. But it's weird, man.
Well, there's a difference between condensation created from what you said.
Right.
There's a conspiracy that they're putting something in there. There's a difference. So you're talking a debate about two things: whether or not it's just condensation from heat and cold,
right,
making a cloud essentially, right, or if it's someone putting something
that they're manufacturing it,
right,
the chemtrail that's being manufactured.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Me, I believe they're being manufactured. That's one of my rabbit holes, but
yeah.
And I mean, I've heard some interviews of chemtrail pilots, and obviously they're always anonymous, right? So consider your source. But then again, they gotta be because they'll, disappeared.
Yeah.
If not, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know. All I can tell you is when I was young, the sky was not crisscrossed all over the place with chemtrails.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times you look up now and it is. And we do know that governments are admitting that they are trying to affect the weather.
Cloud seeding.
Yeah, cloud seeding. Was it aluminum and
I'm not sure.
Aluminum dust and something else that, and it works. Like they're creating clouds and then again, if it works, then why is the drought, the Mississippi River's dried up. They can't get a barge through there unless they want that on. Well, I guess, if you can't move grain, like, you can't buy a gallon of gas. I guess it kind of goes along with there.
There you
go. Yeah, Wikipedia. Cloud seeding.
We're doing a little half-ass fact check here, in real time. There on Wikipedia there is cloud seeding.
Yeah. Interesting.
This too short. Right. This article's lead section may be too short to adequately summarize the key points. Please consider expanding the lead to provide an accessible overview of all important aspects of the article.
Yeah. Wow.
But it says cloud seeding is a type of weather modification that aims to change the amount of type of that's weird. Amount of type of precipitation that falls from the clouds by dispersing substances into the air that serves as cloud condensation or ice nuclei, which alter the microphysical process within the cloud. It doesn't. Does it say what?
What they're actually putting in there?
It says the image explained cloud seeding shows, and they got a image on the side here, a substance, either silver, iodide, or dry ice being dumped into the cloud, which then becomes a rain shower. The process shown in the upper right is what happens in the cloud and the process of condensation upon the introduced material.
So they can make it rain.
They can make it rain, but can it only rain from that cloud that they're playing? That's
or does
almost
it start a chain reaction.
I don't know. I mean, the way it's well, what does it say here? The usual objective is to increase precipitation, rain or snow, either for its own sake or to prevent precipitation from occurring in days afterward.
Wow, that's crazy. So tell me, how long is it going to be before they can manufacture a tornado?
Oh, here you go. Most common chemicals used for cloud seeding include silver iodide, potassium iodide, and dry ice, solid carbonate dioxide.
Yeah. That's,
liquid propane, which expands into a gas, has also been used.
Wow. Man, maybe we should
I don't know. I don't know enough.
And see if Ian can deep dive some of this. He likes that.
I've heard about it, but this is the first I've actually read an article.
It's pretty crazy, and you know, I wonder how long it'll be before they can manufacture a tornado.
has an article on it,
you know, or a hurricane, you know. Imagine that if you know, what if they're just practicing and that's what's happening, you know, along the Mississippi, so that, you know, if another country pisses you off, you screw with their weather and give them a 5-year drought. For 5 years, they can't grow no crops. I mean, you could bring a civilization down to their knees. We know what humans do in famine.
Now, this one here says, even though it's been around for decades, it's not believed that humans could... Oh, that's probably... I don't know if that one's reliable.
Yeah. It's opinionated.
Yeah, I was looking for an actual.
Yeah, definitely one
of my. I was looking for an actual source to see if this was something that is wide. Is it widespread, or is this something that's just?
My personal belief is that this is a lot further advanced than this. You know.
Yeah. It's possible, but
you know,
I don't. It's
create
hard
a
to say.
Storm.
Then again, people like to make big things out of little things too, so it's hard to say.
But we were just talking about in a couple of years having an android that's so realistic that you wouldn't be able to tell them apart from a human, and you know.
Right.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. You just think about that, like you know, not to bring the Ukraine and Russia up, but like Russia has that sub with that nuclear. They can do a nuclear detonation with a torpedo before it hits the coast to create a tidal wave, you know, a tsunami. Like, wow. You know, you just wonder, like, when does technology become so dangerous that we need to stop? You know, I mean, like nuclear weapons right now, we could almost annihilate.
I don't think that
the human race
technology becomes so dangerous we have to stop. It's how do we make sure it's not used in nefarious ways, right?
What if you could affect the weather and do an electrical storm where there's like 1,000 times more lightning strikes than a normal thunderstorm?
Again, you're thinking nefarious, though. But how about if we can control it so that we don't run into what we did last year in the Midwest, where they couldn't even grow hay out there, and they had to sell off and kill off their cattle, and they couldn't get corn to grow. Well, what if we can give them the right amount of rain?
Sure.
So that's how I look. I look at it as
the path to hell is
paved with good
intentions. So I think that's where me and you always kind of hit that part where I think humans are just shitty, you know.
But I think we're getting better, right?
Yeah.
I think Joe Rogan brought
are.
up this point that we are truly living in the safest times that humans have ever existed. Would you want to live in the Genghis Khan times?
Right.
You know?
I think there's, you know, if you look around, like obesity, right? Like there's more fat people on the earth now than there's ever been. So that tells you that, you know, life is good, right?
Yeah. Well, they say even homeless people in America are fat and have cell phones.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, like
not all of them, obviously.
Right.
There are people out there
some
that
of them
don't have.
But they were saying, like, you know, if you look at the lifestyle you have right now, you are living better than what a king lived.
The poorest
500
person.
years ago,
some of the poorest people,
Yeah, they're living better than what a king lived. Like, you have more wealth than what a king
Not even
had.
wealth, but I mean, you have, but you know, even people that are, let's say, poverty, right? I guarantee you, most of them still have internet in their house.
And that's what I mean by wealth, not
cable
just
TV.
Money.
They still have running water and a flushing toilet
That's
and
what
food
I mean
in their cupboard and a refrigerator.
Wealth,
and
it's you know, your kingdom is far richer than what a king was.
But I guess
500 years ago.
Subjective to the time, though. I guess, right?
Yeah.
So it's relative to the relative to the time, right?
Time.
So
sometimes those things just
because we may have a flushing toilet, but it's not a gold toilet like some people have today, right?
Right.
So
I remember a set of gold AK-47s. You know, Uday and Hussein had. Those are pretty badass.
Right. So yeah. I don't. So yeah, as far as safety though, they say, you know, hopefully that my point to that was, even though technology has become more advanced and there are things that could be deadlier, it seems like we're moving in a direction to where
I just think you got to be careful. Don't forget how easy it is to, you know.
But
be manipulated.
I just think people are having more of an understanding. Maybe now that we are more connected, that like, oh, it's not just about my nation or my country, like, because I can communicate with people that are on a different continent instantly.
And speak a different language. And you can use a translator now. Like, I mean, incredible times we live in, you know. 30 years ago, if someone told us that, we would have laughed. Said, what? You're out of your mind, you know.
30 years ago, you know, the internet was just starting to. I can still remember the first time I seen a web page, like trying to understand, like
how it got there.
What is this? Like, what do you use this for? How do you, you know, like?
I remember my first chat rooms. You know.
I remember being on Pal Talk.
Wow.
My brother lived in Florida, so it was a free way.
Yeah.
Because it was still long distance then.
Right. Oh God.
And we
remember
didn't
that, man. Those charges would kill you.
Right.
Talk to your relative and for a little
while,
and
we still had roaming and long distance on our cell phone. So we had I had a microphone on my desk. You know, and I had my speakers, and I could talk to my brother in Florida for free. And then my other brother would get on.
Yep.
You know, my dad could get on. He lived, you know, a couple hundred miles from us. So we could all get
together.
And if you didn't have a microphone, you could text in the chat room.
And that's what started it, man. The
ability
to be able to talk to
I remember I don't even know if Pal Talk's still around, but there were different chat rooms. The same thing. Like if you were an automotive guy,
I'm sure it's still around.
You could go in there and you had a microphone and people were talking about automotive shit or you know, whatever your topic was.
I remember MySpace. You know, before Facebook, man. And it was like,
I wasn't on.
It was just amazing because it was so interactive. I mean, compared to now, it wasn't. It was very clunky and shitty compared to what we can do now. But for the time, wow. And you could find these, you know, if you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend or something, you could find, you know, little I love you with roses and put it on their wall. And, you know, it was like, it jump started the whole thing. And it's still around.
Still around, but I assumed it would have.
A few months ago, I looked up my old account somehow. Out of everything, I figured out my password for my MySpace. I got right on it right when it first came out. And I had all kinds of pictures and stuff on there. Well, some of my pictures are gone now, but yeah, it's still there. You know,
yeah, it says Pal Talk is still there. It says it peaked. It looks like around 2013. Yeah.
That's crazy. How far it's come. Like,
yeah,
man.
And we had dial-up internet then too.
And it's only and I think the one thing with technology is it snowballs into an avalanche. Like it just gets faster and faster and faster. Like, you know, what in 2013 to, you know, in 5 years, what it progressed, it could do now in 6 months, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, once it starts to go. So, you know, you can't even measure like the last 50 years and then the next 50 years. I think you're right. Like 20, 10, 8. You know, yeah, it's exciting. It's intimidating. It's a little scary to think that, you know, eventually the average person might have enough power to really destroy the world, you know, create a virus on your computer and knock out a nation's power grid because you're a hacker, right? You know, wow.
But it seems like as that increases, the opposite increases too. There's that balance there.
Sure.
You know, we have better technology, right, for antiviruses on our computers.
Right.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of these are antiquated, outdated systems that unfortunately people still use that are not supported anymore, and that's where you have troubles, right?
Yeah, for sure. But it's just the idea, not that, you know, someone necessarily even would, but just to have that kind of power, like, you know, that's crazy. I just wonder 70 years from now, what, you know, we'll be long gone, but what would the world be like 100 years from now?
You know? It'll be as different as it was 100 years ago.
Yeah, I think even more. You know.
Well, only because we can't imagine. Right. Because can you imagine 1800? They couldn't imagine what 1900 looked like.
Yeah.
No more than they could imagine in 1900, right?
Right.
When they're driving horse buggy carriages to 2000. Then just look at 2000, right?
Yeah.
Think about what a 2000 car was like.
Oh, wow.
Now look at a 2022 car.
Yeah.
And it's even just in 20 years, you're like, holy, let alone going from horse and buggy to car.
Yeah.
But now you go from, like I said, from a car in 2000s to a car in 2022. It's.
I hope that we're right. I hope that God is real. My faith says he absolutely is. But I hope that, you know, when you die, there's more. And you don't just, like, don't exist anymore, become fertilizer for the earth. That we can watch that. You know, I want to see the evolution of that. You know, I don't want to miss that because I'm dead. You know, 70 years from now, I want to see what the world's like. You know, oh, fascinates me.
I was just looking at that release you got.
The release, yeah.
What year was that?
98 was it? 99.
24, 20, 20.
Yeah,
20 in a couple years.
Yeah, 20 some odd
And look
years.
at that release I use.
Yeah, now
today.
Yep.
And it's wow.
Yeah. And the craftsmanship that went into that you know, he did a good job building those, and in its day that was like cutting edge technology, you know.
But again,
even the wrist wrap on it, right, was new. Like, you know, I had a thumb button. I didn't have no wrist wrap on that. I remember seeing it and kind of laughing, like, oh, that looks kind of goofy, you know. And then it just evolved into, you know,
that one I got
what
now.
You got now, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, he was a special guy. I'll tell you that, man. He was as close to Fredbear as you could get. And he could shoot just, you know, he's shoot like Uncle Teddy, man. Like, just brilliant. I loved his archery shop. He taught me a lot. I have Lots of fond memories of that old man. He was the one that taught me about moldy meat. You know, he was way ahead of everyone else with that. Quarter those deer up, put them in the fridge on the wire racks till they got a skim of mold.
I've heard of it
Take them
before.
out, you trim the mold off, and that's when the meat was its best. And now there's restaurants. I see there was one in Florida that specialized in moldy meat.
Yeah.
You know,
I've heard of it. I just can't.
I've
haven't been able to make the leap.
Yep, I've done it. It works. You know.
Man, I don't know. I just can't. I haven't been able to make that leap yet.
My ex and I had taken lots of quarters that were moldy and trimmed the mold off, and that meat is just perfect.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. You gotta just take a little piece of meat once and set it aside and try it, you know.
Man, I don't know. Like I said, I've heard of it. I just
Man,
wouldn't it be cool to get Ted Nugent on the podcast?
Oh, I wish, man. Please, Uncle Teddy, man, come on.
Can you imagine?
Just come and talk to us.
I know he's controversial and everything, but
yeah,
just
so are we. We're just small.
For me, it'd be. I just want to hear stories about like hunting with Fred Bear, shooting like the evolution. Like I know they can't see it on camera, but up above Fred Bear, there's a signed picture of Ted Nugent.
Awesome. I love that.
And just to hear him, like, because I was thinking about that release and the evolution of archery technology. What we've seen a small sample. He's been immersed into it his whole life since he was a little kid going to Fred Bear's archery shop.
Started,
right?
You know, he was at the beginning.
For him to see what it is today compared to, because he is, I'm sure he had access to all of.
We watched the one podcast where he was talking about going in there and how Fred Bear kind of treated him like he was a hippie. He had the long hair and just how their relationship evolved was fascinating. Like, please come on our show and let's just talk archery. We don't have to get into politics and nothing silly. I want to talk about that, Tell me about your first bow and what it was like, and
Well, I don't care if he talk. He can talk whatever he wants.
But I'm saying like the archery.
Yeah, I'd like to know like what he's seen and what his thoughts are on the advancement and how much different did it.
Yeah, you can't tell him what to talk about.
No,
he's
I wouldn't.
He'll talk about whatever the hell he wants.
Like, I wonder, like, is his success rates higher since technology has gotten better, or does he feel you still have to put in the same amount of practice as he did 40 years ago, 50 years ago to accomplish the same amount of success without wounding an animal?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Does the technology, the advancement in it, allow you to cheat? Take it a little easier than what you used to have to do.
Is the equipment that much more forgiving that you don't have to practice as hard, or do you still have to put in the same amount of time? It just makes
even more.
It just makes it more enjoyable.
Maybe.
Makes it easier on your body. It is a little more forgiving, so the errors that you make aren't as big. There is something to be
said about that, because I made the joke last year that going ice fishing, if I drove all the way out there, unloaded the quad, and jumped on and went to go and realized I didn't have my graph, I'd pack my shit up and go home.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be fun without my camera, my graph, and all that shit. And I made the joke, how in the hell did we even catch fish 20 years ago when I didn't have this shit, So, technology changes everything, and it sure can make it fun.
I remember before we had, fish finders that we took ice fishing, I learned from the previous generation. My dad, my uncles, I'm sure they learned from their dad, and he probably learned from talking to locals on the lake when he first started going there in the bait shops and got an idea, and then you kind of hone it in. Because I find out, the spots that I ice fish don't change a whole lot year from year. I kind of go still to the same area, even though I have a freaking GPS fish finder for the ice. I still kind of go to this.
Oh, I love it.
I don't start all over again from scratch, punching holes, dropping it in there,
then,
right?
I got my chip, so it shows all the contours. So I can take the quad, drive right out to a pinch point or something that.
But I'm saying if it was, then that's on a new lake.
Right.
But I'm saying the places you consistently go, you
you
got an idea.
You already know.
Right. Before you had that, you would talk to somebody on a new lake and say, hey, where you go to the local bait shop and buy your shit, and hey, where's a good spot to start at? Can you point me in a direction? Then you would,
and that kind of was the fun of it too. Again, the
because you talk to people,
and you're actually talking to people,
Yeah. Now it's become unfortunately a competition, right?
Yeah, sure is.
Who's got the best graphs? Who can post the most fish on the ice on their social media?
Social media has really hurt the industries.
And even deer hunting, right?
Yep.
Nobody posts a picture of a small buck because it'll be ridiculed and berated by the masses. You only see pictures of big bucks.
First comment would be, "Well, that would have been a really nice buck next year." Just assholes, right? It might have been someone's first buck, and it's a trophy, and you just kick them in the nuts or her in the nuts for it.
Or they only had 3 days of vacation left that year to hunt because their kid was sick earlier in the year and they had to burn up their time or whatever. And so they knew either I shoot this or I don't put any meat in the freezer.
Like you and I said earlier, man, fill that freezer up, right?
Yeah, there's only 2 sets of horns my dad ever hung on the wall. And the one deer that's actually on my wall now, because I was with him the day he shot it, and he's passed, and he willed it to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
But he wasn't even gonna mount that deer.
Really?
No, he cut it all the way up the throat. He wasn't gonna mount it.
Yeah.
He was always more impressed by if you could close your freezer at the end of the season or not. That's what impressed him, was like eating the vent.
Yeah.
When he passed, he had boxes full of antlers and shit, because he'd cut them up and make keychains out of them and knife handles.
Cool
he
stuff.
I got a box. He didn't have a lot of desire to mount horns
and put them of a bunch of antlers.
For him, it was truly about first you shoot what you can eat, and then you shoot what you can freeze, and fill your freezer.
Right. I like it.
Yeah.
Although I like displaying some of that stuff too, but. Yeah, I got a whole box of.
I display all my antlers again for the same reasons we talked about. I like looking at them.
I wanted to do a set of silverware out of them. I thought, eating utensils would be pretty cool.
I display every one I shoot. I don't mount. I don't do a shoulder mount. Obviously, if every
they're all trophies.
But I just like looking at them because I remember that day. It's a time capsule for me.
Yeah,
it's that pause in the day where, I remember that hunt.
Yeah.
I don't remember the first girl I kissed, but I can see every arrow that went through every one of those deer that I shot with the bow.
That's a good point.
And the ones I shot with the rifle, I can still see them in the scope.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah.
It just burned.
Yeah, I remember all
Well, even the deer I shot last weekend, what did I tell you? I thought the arrow stuck in the deer when it ran. Because I said, my daughter and I went out to get it.
Yeah.
Because, I saw it go down. I knew where it was dead at.
Right.
And I came up and changed my clothes, and her and I went out, and I'm like, there's no sense in looking for the arrow because I saw it stuck in its shoulder when it took off. But it wasn't. It passed clean through. But for some reason, I saw the fletches sticking out. But it didn't. It was clean pass through. It was stuck in the ground 8 inches beyond the deer.
Your brain just caught it as it was going through.
Yeah.
Took a snapshot of it.
Yeah. But I can, even right now, I can still see the color of my fletches sticking that far out of its shoulder.
It's crazy your brain can work that fast, to just take that mental.
And for anybody out there, it turned and maybe it fell out. No, it was the deer was here. The arrow was 4 feet past, stuck in the ground, 8 inches. Yeah. It went clean through that deer. It was just for whatever reason my brain.
Yeah, because there's different hunts where I've caught the Lumenok or nocturnal knock right through it. Like in slow motion, you can actually see the whole shot. You knew exactly where you hit it. There's been other times where it's like, just the Lumenok's gone, and then the deer runs, and you see it in the ground down there, and it's like, man, I missed it. When I blink or it's crazy.
See, with that deer, I wasn't using a lighted knock, but I knew when the shot broke.
Yeah.
When the shot broke, I knew that arrow was perfect.
Yeah. I love it when that shot feels so perfect.
It broke, the bow fell away, and just like you said, the slow motion. I saw the arrow.
Yeah.
And then,
it's crazy. And how fast that arrow's actually traveling.
Mine, I know, because I chronographed mine, and mine's traveling 280 feet per second.
280 feet. almost a football field
in a second. And I watched it go into that deer.
How fast your brain can capture that. That's crazy.
I can't explain it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, I watched that arrow fly all the way to the deer and disappear.
Wow. That's awesome. Yep. Sure, just to be able to sit down and look up at the wall and just remember those things, like there's so many bucks that all those hunts are always so different. Each one is so unique, and I remember them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not an arrogance,
no.
These trophies. It's like you said, a time capsule. It's good memories that you're holding on to, Yeah.
Yeah, and I think people should mount their trophies, whatever it is. Whatever that trophy is to you, I think you should mount it. Why waste a hide?
I always say, man, hey, look, if this deer's coming in and you're excited, shoot it. That's what you're there for. Fill the freezer and have some excitement. And if that's a spike and it excites you, well, that spike last night, I was a little excited.
Oh, yeah.
I've shot way bigger deer than that, and I was still excited.
It's primitive. It's baked into our DNA, man. We get to eat tonight.
Right.
That's what it is. It still exists inside of us.
Yeah. It's still in our DNA. At least for now, I imagine one day when, it's like Star Trek and they have a replicator,
Thousands. I don't know how long. It'd be interesting. I don't know how long. Because, we haven't had to hunt, for, let's say, how long do you think? How long has refrigeration been around? Modern refrigeration?
60 years of kind of what we would consider modern refrigeration, maybe. That's my guess.
I'm Googling it right now in real time, people. Yeah.
How long has refrigeration been around? Wow.
Well, I think those are ice boxes.
Yeah, those
when
are
it
ice
says,
boxes.
The late 17, early 1800s.
Those
when did it become?
Ice
Let's see, what does this say? 1913 is when it sounds like it.
Fred W. Wolf invented the first home electric refrigerator. 1913.
I wonder when it became domestic production began in 1918, though.
Okay.
So let's say around 1920. I would say,
that's what it says.
Yeah.
GE. Look at that.
So somewhere around the early 1920s, it looks like.
Wow.
We've been able to refrigerate shit, and which led to, them being able to freeze shit and deliver it on trucks to grocery stores, right?
Sure, it changed everything. It changed it about as much as it did when humans went from like nomadic hunter-gatherers to,
So we're talking about that
farming, like growing food.
But we're talking about that whole how short a time it's been. So
not very long.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago. People were using root cellars and ice boxes.
Right. So
dry ice covered in straw.
Yeah. So we're talking very short amount of time.
Wow.
So I don't know how long it would take to get it out of our system. Because again, today you take an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old and have them hook into a fish, and you see that excitement. And again, that's baked into our DNA. That excitement about we get to eat tonight. Like reeling that fish, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would think it would still take a long time to get it out of your DNA.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how long.
Evolution of the human body.
Someone a lot smarter than me to figure this out. Because I know it does take. It seems like. But again, we haven't been.
It's
all relative, It's all relative to what the
100,000 years humans were pretty much the same, and then for 200 they've been different. It's
how do you
nothing in that time chain of human evolution. We're just a little
we still have
speck of it.
These old brains and these old bodies, this old biology that still taps into
like we were talking when Adam was here about dating sites and every guy holding his fish up, and it was just the signal I can provide for you. It's still there. That's funny. He's not the best looking guy. It's the guy with the biggest fish. Huh. Well, shit. Who would have thought it was that easy?
Yeah, I think I'd said something. I don't know if I said it during the podcast or after, but like what that must have looked like for dating, right? Like, did you drag a dead animal by a woman's cave, like to show her, like as you're walking by, like,
yep, I'm the man you want because I'll feed you.
Yeah, like I wonder what that looks like.
That's crazy. God. And we're still the same.
Yeah.
And it's still in the DNA. That's just funny.
Provider.
Yeah.
Huh? What do you think?
A
little over 2 hours in.
Yeah, that was a good talk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang out with my girl.
Yeah.
For a little bit. We're gonna have fun.
There you go.
Yeah, excited.
Yeah, maybe we can talk more about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that
next week's podcast.
Yeah.
Man, we'll only be a couple days away from opener.
I know.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah. I didn't get into any of this.
I
gotta
wear a hunting hat for next week's podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get an orange hat.
I
got enough.
Yeah. I got an orange one.
Yeah, we're orange.
I got a couple of orange ones, so.
Yeah.
I got an orange beanie. I'll wear that, man.
Yeah.
I'll do a beanie.
Yeah, we gotta remember to do that.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Remember, everybody out there, like, share, subscribe, rate it, share
Come on, man. Give
whatever
us a
you guys
thumbs up.
can do.
Help us out.
Last week's video was a little slow,
Yeah,
whether it was the time of day or football games or whatever.
Or, holiday weekend. I don't know. Just help us out, man. We're putting a lot of work into this. We're trying hard to make it interesting and fun for everybody.
Once we get a new guest over there, I know you can't see it out of your vision. We got some new art on the wall, so I'm gonna wait to reveal that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, wait to reveal that.
I wondered why you didn't.
Guest. Yeah, I figured leave everybody hanging, but we got
some really
cool
neat art.
Yeah,
some cool shit.
It looked a little blank after we did the last one.
Yeah.
Adam here, I'm like, man, we gotta get something over there.
Yeah, we're always trying to make it better. So we want to make it interesting and fun. So if there's something that you want, throw it out there in a comment, and we'll talk about it. Or
we answer every comment.
Yeah,
that comes through.
Yeah, we want to interact with everybody. We want to have fun. We want you to have fun.
All right. Peace and love, everybody.
Thanks.